Hey guys, what's up? So, a while ago, I made a build, and I said, oh, crappy build, $10 CPU, and it was this. And I had said this build had a very, very specific purpose. And I said the smartest among you would probably know. Nobody actually figured it out. Now, why would I put an i3-4130T with a Z97 motherboard with 16 gigabytes of RAM? Now, some of you had, predictions that were logical, just completely wrong, including like, oh, I bet it's a media PC, or, hey, it's just to see how low Windows can go. Those were all incorrect. You see, Z97 has support for 2 generations of Intel CPUs. Unless you count refreshes, then it's 3. It has support for Haswell, aka the 4770K, stuff like that. Haswell Refresh, 4790K, and Broadwell. But, out of the box, a Z97 board does not have support for Broadwell CPUs, aka 5th gen Intel. So a stock Z97 board needs a BIOS update. Now, this board does not have BIOS flashback, meaning to update the BIOS on the board, I needed a 4th gen CPU that would natively work with the Z97 chipset to then update the BIOS. Now, I could buy a 4790K and actually make a good build, but that would be pointless entirely because I don't have another Z97 board to put it in, so I couldn't even make a pre-build. So, the point of that build, to update the BIOS, was so that I could slot in this. This is an i7-5775C. Intel's, I guess you could call it, lost 5th generation of Core CPUs. Now, this build, as you could probably tell by the title, if I put it in the title, if I didn't, oh well, is for a streaming PC. But why this specific CPU? I have a 2700X, I have 2-threader burst, I have Intel Extreme Edition. Why use a Core i7-5775C? Well, 2 reasons. First of all, because it's frickin' cool. It's a rare CPU, and it has a cool name. 5775C. Not 5700K, or 6700K, etc. 5775C. That's an awesome name. If deviation from the norm being awesome. Yeah, you don't get it. But this is for a dedicated streaming PC. And you'll notice, the form factor is ITX, which is good and bad. It's good because small form factor, small footprint, awesome, great for streaming PC. You can put it like on top of my gaming PC, etc. It can fit anywhere. It can be great. Bad? This is the Elgato I use. This is the 4K 60 Pro. It uses a 4X PCIe slot. This has one 16X slot. 4X can go in a 16X slot, and now my board is full. What am I missing in a normal PC? That's right, a graphics card. This streaming PC will not have a graphics card, which saves on both power, heat, and other things, such as I don't have to waste another graphics card sitting in a streaming PC. And that's where the 5775C comes in handy, because on board, it has Intel's Iris Pro 6200 graphics. Unlike Intel's mainstream UHD 630 or 650 graphics that are on normal CPUs, normal core CPUs, this has Intel's Iris Pro graphics. Now, UHD would be absolutely fine. People have built 9900Ks and had them as dedication, but this is cooler. It's better. I could play Portal 2 on this if I wanted to. But also, it's a capable CPU capable of 4-core 8 threads. That's plenty for streaming, dedicated streaming. And also, if I needed to, and this is my rule, for any dedicated streaming PC, it must, absolutely must, be able to be quickly, and by quickly I mean within 5 to 10 minutes, be able to be turned from a dedicated streaming PC to a backup gaming PC. So a 5775C definitely is still good for gaming, and swapping in a graphics card will make this a very capable ITX gaming PC. So, now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's actually build my new streaming PC. So first we're going to start with RAM, obviously. I love installing RAM. I don't know if I've told you this before, I probably have. It is one of my favorite parts about building PCs. It's impossible to mess up unless you're stupid, and it's satisfying click, and just beautiful, especially when you're doing it a lot. Now this only has 2 RAM slots. I could put 16 gig, like LR DIMMs or whatever they're called, but I think I'm just going to stick with 16 gigs. That's fine. 8 gigs a pop is plenty. Now, I was originally going to use this Noctua NHL9i low profile cooler, and this is a 65 watt TDP CPU, I think, and this is a 65 watt TDP cooler. That would have been perfect, I'm pretty sure. But the case I picked ended up allowing me some more options, as well as some coincidences along the way. So let's talk about that now. This is NZXT's H210. Now it's not the 210i because CAM is a garbage software and terrible and basically malware, but this is the H210 and it is an ITX case. Now for an ITX case it's actually kind of large, but it's honestly adorable either way. It does have support for full-size graphics cards, up to 2 slots, ITX motherboards, liquid cooling, and among other things like a full-size power supply. But notice how I said liquid cooling and that these cables didn't hide correctly. Yes, for this build, we're going with an AIO. Completely unnecessary, but it is as unnecessary as this thing is useless. This is the Cooler Master ML240R Phantom Gaming Edition. This thing is trash. The tubing is so thick that it is almost inflexible entirely, meaning that in any of my, which is most of my cases, top-mounted radiator cases that most of my builds are in, including my actually needs to be a liquid-cooled 9800X build, I can't mount this on the top without bending these to a point they will break. So it has to be front-mounted, which almost none of my cases and none of my actual personal builds use front-mounted AIOs. So this build gets it by default. Completely unnecessary, but completely useless. But I mean, it's a performing liquid cooler. You know, it'll be way above what a 5775C dedicated streaming PC actually needs. But hey, if I can liquid cool a PC for no reason, I'm gonna do it. In this case, I didn't pick it for that reason, but it ended up being really great that it supports a front-mounted 240mm radiator with fans, obviously, which I'm going to have them both mounted as pull fans mounted inside the case behind the radiator, if that makes sense. I'll show you guys, whatever. Finally, I think I've covered everything. 4K 60 Pro, motherboard, this, that. Last piece. Power supply. I was originally going to use this EVGA 850 watt G3 overkill power supply. Literally can't be found in stores right now because power supply stock is so low and it's totally overkill. And this case does support a full-size PSU, but that would be stupid, and even I realized that for once. Now, I always go overkill with my PSUs, but for this time, I decided, I was at Micro Center, I was like, PSU stock's kind of low, there's not really anything to buy. I'm going to buy the most adorable thing I can find at the store. This thing, for reference, oh god, is tiny. This is a Sfx Power Supply, a Corsair SF450. It is only 450 watts, but for dedicated streaming, even if I throw in a graphics card, it is plenty. It is so cute. and I'm going to put it in this case. Now, it was pretty pointless for me to get an SFX. I just wanted it. It's so cute. And that's really it. That's literally the only thing that this is. It's just I wanted it because it was adorable. But I think using an Sfx Power Supply in this case would allow me more drive support. And speaking of drives, I almost forgot. What boot SSD am I using? Now, normally, I would grab, you know, 1 or even 2 NVMe SSDs to boot with. But this time, and again, the smartest of you will notice, I don't know how many that is, but Z97, although it kind of has support for NVMe and boot driving and booting from PCIe, this one does actually have support for booting from the PCIe slot, which is useless on an ITX board. There's no M.2 slots on this board, so we have to go SATA. This SATA, to be exact. Now, why this drive particularly? Yes, it's pretty inexpensive, 256 gigabytes, good boot SSD, you know, great storage amount, it's fine, maybe some scratch and games if I need to. But this drive has a history. See, this drive originally came in my first ever real, let me add that, gaming pre-built. I had a pre-built beforehand that was called gaming, but it was HP and it had a GT 640 in it. This is from my first real good gaming pre-built PC. I bought it from i7-5775C 4 years ago. It's about 4 years ago now that I bought that build, and this thing has been through multiple builds. It was my first built, the one that I built first, my first built gaming PC, which ended up being Threadripper 2920X over there. Then it went to my dedicated streaming PC that I made. Then it went to a different dedicated streaming PC. It's been all around, and finally it's going in. I want to say final home, but I just know I'm going to get bored of this and build a new one later. Like my last one, I loved using rare CPUs to get some use out of them in streaming PCs. I was using the Lisa Su signed 2700X, but I'm switching to a 5775C because I can. And this will probably end up moving again, but it has all my streaming settings on it. It was originally used to stream on my first pre-built gaming PC, and it's going to be used to stream on again in my, you know, this built streaming PC. So without further ado, I'm going to build this PC. Now, the build process. Am I going to record it? Maybe. That's boring though. If anything interesting happens, I'll keep it recording, but when recording in 4K, you definitely don't want to waste a lot of storage. Speaking of storage. But this is not going to be the only drive in this system. Asterisks. I have also acquired 2 laptop hard drives. This is the 1 terabyte hard drive that I stole from my friend's laptop when I fixed it for him. And this is a 2 terabyte laptop SSHD that I got from that $400 gaming PC. And the reason I'm using laptop hard drives is I think this case might have better support for them. I don't know. It really, like, it has SSD support. They're the same size as an SSD. So that's why I could probably fit a hard drive back here, but I also have a 2 terabyte external drive, which is currently connected to my router to be a makeshift NAS, but that's as a point. So this will be in my system, so that's over 3 terabytes of storage, which will be plenty for like recording. I could use this as a recording PC. You get the gist. But that's really it for storage. Definitely room to upgrade later. I have enough SATA ports? I was about to like, do I have enough SATA ports? But that's really it. I'm gonna build this PC, and I'll be right back. We're back on the bad mic. So, this was supposed to be one of my easiest builds ever. It became one of the worst builds I've ever done. It doesn't look that great, because I thought Sfx Power Supply, small ITX case, ITX motherboard, I thought that would all work together. I was completely wrong. The cables for the power supply weren't long enough, so I had to use an extension. And my drives didn't mount where I wanted to. I can't get the RGB on this cooler because Cooler Master sucks. So I haven't turned it on yet. Let's see if it works together. If it turns on, that's a success. I bet this breaks everything. I don't have any liquid moving. I lost my test keyboard. Oh, I was right. The monitor wasn't on. Okay. Let's take two. Oh! Hey! Yo! What's that? It's not booting to the right drive. That's what that is. Okay. Two things we're going to check before we end this video. CPU temperature, which should be 30 degrees max. What is this BIOS? And drives. There we go. What is this BIOS? Do I click? Like, I can't understand this BIOS. Poorly designed. There we go. So 3 drives are there. Can I see my temperature? Cool. I love having an RGB cooler that I can't use the RGB on because Cooler Master sucks. I love them. I love them, but I hate them. Oh, let's change the standard for our coolers every 2 goddamn seconds. Oh, addressable header? Fuck you. Hey, we're in Windows. Alright, I connected my antennae. Okay, we're connected to the internet. Now, first of all, Task Manager, performance. CPU. We don't have our graphics yet. 3 disks. Let's update our display adapters. 30, there we go. 30 on every core. CPU temp. 30, 40, 33 degrees. That's expected. Now, we have yet to see what it's going to do under load. I don't care. I straight up, these programs are all bad. I straight up just do not care. I want to get my graphics on here. Boom. There we go. Intel Iris Pro 6200. The build works. CPU is cool. Wow, that's awesome. The CPU is cold. No RGB. We have R, B, and W. America. The cooler's not gonna light up. It's a small PC. What else can I do? Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, this is like the 5th time I've made a video like, oh, this will be an easy build, and then the video turns into garbage. Peace. Just for you.